Welcome back to Old World Fanatics. It's myself, Gomo, here with Andrew. We're finally getting up to speed here and doing another video on all things Old World. But in this case, as you would have seen by the thumbnail, it's the Old World version 1.5. We thought we should throw our two cents into the arena as well. I know there's been a lot of videos around it, the changes that have come, what does it mean? And it's time to put our 2 cents in a little bit. And we realized we probably had to because we need to start redoing some of our faction focuses. Hey, Andrew, how you going?
Yeah, definitely. I think, from what we've done with our larger format, definitely if we do a bit more of a slimmed down version with some of these faction focuses, I think that'd be really, really good for the community.
Yeah, we keep getting hammered at it. People who have not watched us before, we got a weekly Monday podcast that's probably goes 2.5 hours most of the time. So if you want some painting done, definitely tune in there. But with that, we were doing a lot of faction focus. And it's almost a joke, isn't it, about when's the Empire faction focus coming out and stuff. And the game's changed so much, and then we wanted to let it simmer. And we've decided we're going to bring some out, but we didn't want to bring, like, I'm working on a beastman and orc one, and I think you were doing a vampire one, and it was like we need to actually look at what the game is now at the moment before we do that. So if you're watching this back and we've already got all 30 of them out or whatever, that's great, but you probably want to watch this one first because you'll see how wrong we are by the time we get to the 30th faction focus. And we're not even focusing on what we're talking about in this video. But yeah, basically this video is going to look at some of the changes from Old World 1.5 and then our take on what that means, the scenarios, and maybe what you want to do when you think about building lists for your faction generically. And then obviously if you want to check out our faction focuses, hopefully they're all out at some point and you can do that. So before we kick off, obviously like, subscribe. It really helps the YouTube algorithm. We really appreciate that. And of course, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/oldworldfanatics for all good things, all our cool little chats and slow grows that we run on our Discord and things like that. So please follow along if you're interested in all things Old World. So let me just bring up, I had a little bit of slide stuff here just to sort of guide us along as we chatted about this. I'll take this one. Basically, everyone's calling it 1.5. It's because the FAQ is labeled as 151. But we got that. This is, 2 months ago from recording this video, I think now, something like that. Got a match play book that came out. And on top of that, we're getting some arcane journals adding their own flavor on. So as of recording right now, the only one really is the Cathay version 2. I keep forgetting the name of it, the Storm Dragon or whatever it's called. I don't know, but well, I've got a little bit of a hot take down the track here. Like, it's introduced a little bit of new rules around things like buildings, occupying buildings. Everyone knows how much I loved putting big units in buildings in 8th edition. So if that becomes the thing in the meta again, maybe that's something you need to factor in. So I thought it's one thing to, keep, if you are a new player, you got to keep adrift of some of this stuff. So anyway, that's what we're going to cover here. But I guess we're going to start off with not the FAQ straight away. I just want to mention, let's just look at match play. The match play doc does talk about changes to victory conditions, scenarios, secondaries, and secret missions. Andrew, we're mostly going to focus on secondaries and the scenarios for this video, I think. Otherwise, we're just never going to get through a quick video. So we decided.
Yeah, they're definitely the important parts.
Yeah. I don't think secret missions are going to win you tournaments. They might. I don't know. But I certainly don't think you're building massive lists around them. Potentially, I might be totally wrong there. And everyone, please leave comments if you think we are wrong there. But
I think you're right.
I think secondaries are still a bigger one, even more so than the scenarios, because I think scenarios almost use secondaries, which we'll get into. But yeah, that's sort of what we're going to cover with match play, those two middle ones. But before we do that, we wanted to quickly just cover the main changes from FAQ 151. I'm sorry, I'm blocking the version number there. We chatted about this. Andrew, do you reckon this is sort of our findings? What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's changed the game dramatically, but it has definitely changed the game. And it's definitely changed what you see on the board, what people are taking. So I'll hit probably one of the first ones, which will be just the way that infantry has changed. So obviously, one of the big ones was having additional attacks. So you got these supporting attacks now coming in, not just one ranked fighting as such. On top of that, you've got the outnumber, just to give you some more combat res from having larger blocks. And then another huge one, which we've seen, is parry. So obviously with hand, weapon, and shield, you can get an extra armor save to maximum of 3+. So that's a huge boon for infantry.
Yeah, and obviously we just took snapshots here from the FAQ. This is regular infantry and heavy infantry got this as well. If you're playing renegades, ogres got this as well. So, I mean, just that change there meant infantry's on the board. Yeah, where it just wasn't before. So, like,
definitely,
of all the things that are in the FAQ and the erratas, I mean, this is one of the biggest changes. Absolutely. Yep.
Did you want to hear the next one?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, related to that a little bit, I'll do the blue one there, is the unit strength. Like, they changed this a couple of times in the erratas. Was going up from, if you're going to get close order bonus, you only get it now unit strength 10. So I feel like that was a little bit in line with the fact that now you got infantry, they're easily going to have unit strength 10 generally, and nothing else is unless it is that. Like, unless it's a big block, you know, like Cav, or Cav can get it with 5, I guess. But, you know, like it's basically wiped out the dragons, except a Chaos Dragon, getting close order bonuses. So it's nerfing the ridden monster type stuff, whilst also still not so much boosting infantry because I already got it. But yeah, just negating some of those other ones. So I think they're going hand to hand there. It's a pretty big change.
Yeah, definitely. And another one that's probably gone in hand with that to a degree is the challenges and mounts. So if you do get challenged and you throw a large dragon mount with the character on top, basically if you kill it with your character, then the mount can't do the overkill in the challenge. So that's another big another big nerf to the monsters.
Yeah, they're just basically all working here together to and I think they've been good changes. I think they're all, I'm trying to think if I actually hate any of those changes. The only thing I would hate about them is, unfortunately, it wasn't done from day one. You know what I mean? Like, it's like this mishmash now of, like, you open up your book and you got like a scorpion, for example. It's got close order on it. And you're like, fuck, what does that mean? Nothing. Like, it's got these rules now that really don't really do anything. But apart from that, that's cool. But then we had the other big change, which I think is really making a difference if you're, opening up Old World Builder and starting to write a list, is the whole wizard magic system here has changed now that you're only getting the 1 or 2 to cast now, raw from a wizard now. So whereas a level 4 used to get 4 + 4 to cast, level 3 + 3, now you're just getting +1 if you're level 1 and 2, and +2 if you're level 3 and 4, vice versa for dispels. So the casting values have dropped. So the casting roll, I guess, the result of your roll has just dropped massively. And they dropped, in this FAQ, they dropped the casting values of some spells by 1, even though a lot of the times you've lost 2 off your casting roll or result. But, many of the spells didn't change either, any of the casts. So magic just just basically got a huge nerf. In terms of the ability to cast reliably.
And it's good now because you do see your level 1s and 2s kicking around, where else before, they're almost non-existent. It was just 3s and 4s, mainly 4s, but yeah.
Yeah, the only time you used a 1 was if it was either you needed something to carry a certain magic item, or you had some rule like, mortuary cult, or, sacrificing people, whatever it was with the beast, things like that. Now, as we'll get to, it's viable now. The annoying thing, the frustrating thing is it's absolutely viable to take level 1s and 2s. The problem is they might not even be casting spells anyway. So like because of a whole variety of things, but it is what it is. They probably this is probably not the end result. Hopefully they, if we get a version 2 down the track or whatever, that they sort of find a middle ground, because I feel like it's nerfed a little bit too much. And to be honest, it's probably not even nerfed too much. It's almost like they just need to redo all the laws again. Because like realistically, every law has 2 spells that are good and maybe a third that's okay, and the rest of it's shit. So they could almost redo the laws, change the values, add some other spells in. Yeah, and it would be pretty cool. And you'd probably they've done with the rules here is probably okay. So it's probably just down to that. But yeah, massive change. I don't know if you're watching this, leave some comments if you think we've missed some other stuff. There was poison, big nerfs to poison and shooting at large targets and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like nerfing the way they've nerfed dragons and all that stuff here meant that even if you had all the poison here blocks back, that you wouldn't see them as much anyway, because they're not shooting these stuff. They're not shooting all these large targets anyway. So I didn't put it there. So hopefully that people mostly agree with that sentiment. But, yeah. Cool. So into match play. So this was the book that they brought out, which everyone's starting to play. At least, the tournaments use a lot of the stuff from it.
Yeah, it's getting adopted quite. Yeah.
But you don't have to. It's probably a bad word, match play, because it's not exactly. It's also friendly pickup game. It just gives you something to pick this scenario, pick this secondary, and go. So it's not exactly a tournament thing. I did just want to say this was in the FAQ as well, that this tracking your victory points changed as well. Now you get points for reducing. You get half points for reducing. Hang on, which way is it? If you reduce it to 25% or lower in unit strength or starting wounds, if it's classed that way, you're getting 50% of the costs of the points. So again, it's a nerf to big monsters and stuff that you just couldn't get any points out of, which is awesome.
Yeah. It was quite heart-wrenching sometimes. You get a 9 wound monster down, take 7 wounds off it, and you don't get any points. Ross, this is fantastic. Or it used to be 25%, I think it was.
Something like that. It
originally,
but it wasn't. It didn't mention the unit strength thing. I think it was only the models still, wasn't it, or something like
models,
that? It's so hard to. You basically had to kill these big things.
Yeah.
Cool, but. Yeah, before we get to the scenarios, secondaries are pretty big now. This was not really a thing. This is new.
Well,
new when the book came out, not new when this video's out.
yeah. No, these are fantastic, and they're worth quite a bit of points too. So it's really if you are going into tournaments and friendly games as well, obviously playing for these secondaries is really quite critical, just due to the amount of victory points that they give you. So we'll just go through some of these, just a quick little rundown, a bit of a rehash. Baggage train. So as obviously everybody knows, you can now create your own little model, which is fantastic as well for your baggage train. But you and your opponent, you basically can place them down, and what you try and do is you defend yours and obviously try and get the opponents or destroy the opponents. But so to control yours, basically you need unit strength of 10 within 6 inches of that baggage train at the end of the battle, and then you get 100 victory points. But if you can manage to destroy your opponents at the end of the game, you get 250 victory points, which is quite a lot. And to destroy your opponents, it's not actually that easy, because you need to have a unit with unit strength 5, and it's got to basically get into base contact for one entire full turn, so 2 player turns. And then you need to stay in base contact. And then obviously, after that, it's destroyed. But that is a huge, going from 100 for controlling your own to 250. That's 350 points right there that you could get.
Well, if you
out
can
of
do
that.
both of that, that definitely gets into a win category just from that. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you think that the 250 over the 100 means that most of the time it's just more important to try and kill the other one?
Yes.
Rather than,
If you could, I would be, and I think a lot of people, if you can get yours and keep yours, that's fantastic. But I would definitely think that a good strategy would be to at least put something in place to take out your opponents, just to secure that 250.
And I think when you look at some of the scenarios, most of the time people are putting them in scenarios where there's a reason to stay in the middle or somewhere else, and then that way, if you put a baggage train in, you're trying to breaking up the battlefield, making people do more than one thing, which is always fun. It's a little bit hard sometimes in old world and fantasy in general because we're not the most maneuverable game. But that's sort of what it gets away from just camping, and gun lining as such, which is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And plus the modeling opportunity. Like I think realistically, you're right. Like you need to think about how can I get over there and kill things and stay for a turn killing this thing, and also just take out stuff on the way there to stop them stopping me doing that. You know what I mean? Like if you get there and they've got bunches of little units there, they're going to keep pushing you off well, if you just got a unit of 5 harpies, it's it's going to get pushed off that thing pretty easy. Does it bring back things like scout and ambush as well, which is what I like? That sort of started to die off. People went,
definitely,
turn up. But now you're like, this is end of game here. So if my ambusher unit stays, like if I don't roll a 4 up all game, at least I know it's turning up turn 5. And now I can
no, that's it. Yeah, happy coincidence.
Take this. So I think like it really does help. Like I think it's helped. Again, what we really hoped with these changes, and I think we're seeing, is it's opening up everyone's army lists to things that they might have just gone, nah, it's not worth having that. And now it's like, maybe it is.
Yeah, no, definitely.
What's the other ones? We've got domination.
Domination. So this is table quarters. So basically, at the end of the game, if you have the highest unit strength completely within one of the table quarters, you get 100 victory points, which is pretty good considering obviously you got 4 quarters. If you manage to have twice the unit strength of your opponent in that table quarter, you get an additional 50, so that's 150. And then if you have no enemies within that table quarter and you hold it, then you're getting obviously that 200, so it's an extra 100 on top of your 100. So 200 victory points is quite tasty when you start adding up those.
Well, the other thing too, and this is maybe they thought of this. They probably do because they design games. That a lot of these objectives and stuff are around like unit strength of a unit. So you got to start thinking about which is great. Like we want armies, we want units on the board. But then that takes away some of the MSU play or stuff like that sometimes, because you go, I can't have lots of little units of 5 or 10 because I'm going to fall over. But if you know that just domination is the main one or you're playing that, well, you can have a lot of little shitty units everywhere. But when you add them up, they all add up. Do you know what I mean? Like it's cool. You don't have to have it in one unit. And even your monsters and stuff can play into it, whereas they can't play into some of those unit strength 10 ones and stuff because they're not unit strength 10.
Definitely.
I like how it just adds it all together, which is cool.
And it pushes away from like having a Death Star, or else like some of the other ones, like it's good, like you said, like they're all got their strengths and weaknesses for lists, so you do need kind of have a bit of a rounded list looking into these. So the special feature, so this is a core requirement of unit strength 10, which is really good. So this is adding something else into the mix. core of minimum unit strength 10 within 6 of a special feature. And then at the end of the battle, it's 200 victory points. So not quite as much as, you know, some of the other ones, but still, I still think people are going to be playing for it. Like 200 victory points is nothing to sneeze at.
Do you think people will play for it as well to get the special rules? So just to I should probably put that up on the screen here, but basically, if you're the controlling unit, gets this until the end of that turn. So it's during the start of turn sub-phase of any turn. That unit that's controlling it rolls a dice. On a 1 to 2, they get magic res -3, which is pretty interesting. On 3 to 4, they get hatred all enemies, and then on a 5 to 6, they get the unbreakable special rule. It's pretty kind of interesting. All of that makes them pretty resilient if you can get close to it and just hang there. So obviously it's random depending on what happens, but I feel like on a 3-up though, you're getting something that makes you quite hard to move in combat. Potentially or dangerous, whereas obviously magic res 3 just means probably doesn't mean a whole lot unless you're getting magicked off, you know, like as in magic missile off.
Still handy.
Yeah.
And then the last is the strategic locations. I'm sure everybody has seen this, but that's where obviously we'll get into that later. There's just markers placed depending on which type of strategic location you're playing, but unit strength 10 within 6, and then that's how you control that strategic location or that marker. And then basically each player turn, if you are controlling a marker, you get 30 points. So every single player turn, you're going to be 30 points for, and you can control 2, 3, you could have your opponent controls 1, you control 1. So it's very it's
the most complexy type one and adding it up and stuff. But this is like a 40K mission. It feels like
it is. Yeah. But it was good.
I started writing a mobile app for everyone, which I haven't got it out yet, but that does all these scoring, so I should do that. But that would be because it's one of these things where you just forget about. You go, oh shit, what did we get last turn? Add it up. We'll probably cover these a little bit more when we look at the actual, what they're called, scenario, like the actual table layouts, because they're a bit more prescriptive. But this one you can really ratchet up some victory points on them for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I guess the thing to think about with this for those who haven't played this type of game and stuff is part of Warhammer isn't also trying to do everything. So like, strategic location, even 3 or 4, where there's 3 or 4 objectives on the board, you don't have to try and get 3 or 4. Like you could just try and dominate 2 or 3 and that's probably good enough. Because otherwise it's just too hard sometimes. You can, you might find that you spread yourself too thin, So when you're writing lists again, you might think of that going, well, there's 4 objectives, but I need core. I don't want to bring 4 big units of core. I might just take 3. I'm only going to play for 3, Cool. So they're the secondaries which flow into a bunch of these scenarios, which is basically cool. Like Games Workshop came up with different layouts because it feels like Warhammer has had the same sort of deployment maps for a good few editions. There's little changes, but nothing major. Especially Old World to 8th Ed. Whereas we've got Field of Glory, which is basically your standard one. King of the Hill has this special feature in the middle, which and very close. It's 10 inches from the middle. So you're obviously closer to the hill. And then we got this drawn battle line, which was a totally new one, which was, I think, I was going to say an easier one to lay out than the old meeting engagement, but I guess it is. But meeting engagement was good. Someone just put their tape measure down. This one, you sort of both have to sort your own shit out. That's anything. But I do like. We'll get to it. Actually, I won't bring it up now. And then you have the close quarters one, which a little bit I don't even know if it makes much of a difference. It's like the inversion of the what was the one in 8th ed or well, Mountain Pass.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah,
it's the other
yeah,
way. It's all this is saying is you can't flee off the side of the board, but cool. Uh, and
yeah,
then we get chance encounters, which I think is really interesting one where it's like
yeah.
basically
It
deploying
is.
either end, which is really cool. And as you'll see, the scenarios they say that you should use or that you must use really interesting on that one. And then encirclement, again, just slightly different sort of, almost not flank attack, but potentially ability to sort of get around someone's flank there. So that's pretty cool.
Mm,
Cool. So do you want to run through King of the Hill? Like, so basically I skipped scenario 1 because it's the same game, but it just added,
yeah,
you could just do whatever secondaries you wanted. So it's like, yeah, much the muchness.
yeah. So King of the Hill. You're gonna make me get my phone
Oh, do you
out
want, oh,
now.
sorry, I can bring it up quickly and then we can talk about the secondaries, how that might play out. Do you want me to do that? So basically this one's an interesting one in that like it's a bit weird. It's a special scenario. Like it's you have to capture the hill in the middle, which is technically not, I guess it's not a special feature. It just says it's a hill. You need unit
Mm,
strength 10. You have to be, if 2 or more units within 9, not 6, which is different to a secondary special feature. But basically, if you get that, you win 100 if you're on the hill, which is like, okay, it's not that, yeah, it's big, but it's not huge. But then
yeah,
they also say may include baggage train and or special features secondary objectives, which I
yeah,
find funny because it's like, does that mean the hill is 100 and then you put a secondary objective in the middle as well, which is another 200, and then it becomes
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
So it almost feels like you should be playing that. Do you know what I mean? And then I think you should be putting the baggage train in because it's like, it's fun to have everyone just smash in the middle, but I also don't want a gun line just sitting there in
yeah,
their deployment zone with a big, Royal Clan unit sitting on the hill going, you can't fucking move and you can't
yeah,
come close to
yeah.
me because I'll shoot you off the board. I like the idea of saying,
Big
well,
Death
you have to
Star
get
just
on,
in the middle.
you have to
Yeah,
go and get their baggage train as
yeah,
well. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I think that's, I don't know. Is
No,
that what you think with this one?
yeah, definitely, definitely. Because that Death Star sitting on that hill is going to be hard to shift.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you said, if you're adding those extra elements to it, it's really going to start to change up, the game plan and how you can play it.
Yeah, and the good thing is nearly every like 5-day I've seen they end up putting this one in at some point, which is cool because I don't know, like even before this was a thing, some of the
Mm,
Australian tournaments used to play King of the Hill all the time. Interestingly, Vanguard moves can't be made in this scenario, which I like is interesting as well. I don't know if it. I mean, you could argue it nerfs the Bretts and stuff, but I don't know. It's just an interesting little quirk. But I don't know
mm.
if it does too much. But yeah,
Yeah, especially because it's like at the end of the game. That's why I found it was a bit
yeah.
strange.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
Yeah,
for the
yeah. So it
Vanguard, but
really doesn't make too much difference. Yeah.
yeah, it's something different. So,
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah. What we're trying to do here to just to, keep you coming along with our video here and our train of thought here is to go through all this stuff and then come up with some list strategies and things you've got to think about when you're building different factions lists. That's basically what we're trying to do here.
mm,
Drawn battle lines is an interesting one, I thought, and that is because you get this other different. So I'm just trying to bring up the actual match play guide on my computer as well. This is the first one where they say it has to have strategic locations 3, which is across. That's why I drew it on the map here.
yeah,
It's that's 3 across the middle of the board there, and you've got this diagonal deployment, which straight away you realize that you're actually closer to one of your, even though the 3 objectives are in the no man's land, each of
yeah.
you have one closer than the other one, which is kind of interesting. So it feels like by default, those ones are going to be easily got, but that middle one's going to be, um,
The
contested by.
battlegrounds. Yeah,
And the question you have to then decide is, am I going to try get 3 of these, or am I going to just try dominate 2 of them? You know,
yeah,
um, on top of that, you do get this reserve thing, which is as well reserves. Basically, if you roll, is this the one that? Yeah, if you basically roll a dice, each player rolls a dice, and if a one's rolled, both players must choose a single unit. That's infantry or cav, and they have to be held in reserve. And then reserve ones just come back on in the start of the turn. Other than the first, they just appear on the which table edge is it now? I can't remember. Any point of the table edge in their deployment zone. So they can, if you can see my mouse, they can come on anywhere. But it's only one unit. It has to be infantry or cav. It's just not as damaging as the old meeting engagement, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you're rolling one for every unit. So
every unit, half your army's off.
Yeah. I still say sometimes these rules I still feel like just don't even need it. I think it's interesting enough to have the weird deployment and the objectives in the middle. And then if you throw in domination as well, to me, that's an interesting one because domination is quarters. And two of the quarters here are quite not, there's not a lot of deployment zone in each two of the quarters. So you have to make that decision. Am I going to go get that as well? So it's just helping you get out of the deployment zone, especially if you have baggage train in there as well. So, I don't know. For such a simplistic change to deployment, I think there's some interesting, thought to go into it when you approach the game, depending on the secondaries that have been added.
Yeah, definitely. Because definitely strategic locations, you're going to be getting points as you go, whereas domination's more of like a end of the game. So it's definitely like you said, there's a lot to think about.
I've just thought of this too, and I'm probably sorry about this, but hopefully it's fine. Random game. You know how like the match play brought up the whole idea about like at first like fixed term limit versus random game length. I think everyone hates random game length, so I don't even know if people play it. So I'm just not even acknowledging it, but I don't know if that's fair or not.
Don't worry about it, little guy.
Yeah. So if you haven't played much Old World, if you go to a tournament, they won't play random game lengths. So don't worry.
Yeah.
You heard that here. Close quarters was this is the one that's just a bit, to me, it's a bit, I don't know. This one was a bit of a mess. I don't know what you think of this one, but it's basically like you can't go off the edges, the short edges, and you must have strategic locations too, which it's basically just an objective at the front end of your deployment zone, or close to it. Or it is actually, I think. But you may include domination, which is the quarters one. I don't know. Feels like it's a bit of a nothing burger, this one. It's just almost like a normal game.
Yeah, I was going to say, it just seems like almost like a standard pitch battle to a certain degree. A few little things in there, but nothing saying you have to go to the other side to a certain degree as well. So,
I mean, so the other game length is breakpoint, which you do see a little bit sometimes, but I don't know. I just don't think it doesn't play too much in. If breakpoint becomes a thing that a lot of people use, that obviously would factor into different people's lists. But the way infantry is sort of settling in, it's probably not that big a deal.
No.
Then we have chance encounter, which sorry, I didn't move the slide. There we go. This is the cool new one, a really new one where you haven't seen this in Warhammer ever, I don't think. Fantasy, this type of weird deployment with a non-square deployment zone either. Like it's actually like there's a circle on this one. It's like bizarre. It's not worded very well either. It's a very weird deployment rule. Basically, you're deploying opposite ends from each other. Which makes it funny if then you do domination. I think it's kind of interesting because if you do domination here, like you have to take out, you've got to move into areas where no one's even in, which is pretty cool. But then you have to have but you must have a special feature in this one, which is sitting right in that middle, that 18-inch, no man's land type thing, which I think is kind of cool. And then if you're adding baggage train into this, geez, you have the opportunity, you have the, and if you're trying to kill someone's baggage train, you're basically going diagonal. Like it's a huge. you're trying to get to someone's baggage train, which is probably 3 inches away from the edge of the corner of the board, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a really cool. So, like, how much people are going to be deploying, in what area. It's going to be really interesting to see how people play this.
Yeah, and it comes down to terrain as well. I know in one of the tournaments we played that I'm actually playing after I record this week is, there's, depending on which one you choose, you've either got like a forest right on there before you get into that circle, or you've got like hills and woods, or hills and something else, a building or whatever on the other one. So it's sort of kind of interesting depending on who rolls the dice, the winner of the roll off, which one they might choose. Because in my head, I'm like, if I win the roll off, I might take the forest one because I've got like open order people who can just get through the forest. But wood elves have want the forest, but other people might not. So it's depending on how you set up your battlefield with your terrain and if it's symmetrical or not. I think that's a lot to think about in this one, which is cool.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And then the last one that they changed up here is encirclement, which is a slight, I don't know even how you describe it. I mean, it's just slight, I wouldn't call it flanking attack or anything like that, but it is a little bit like that where depending on the right lists and matchups, you might have a chance to sort of really get around the corner on someone, but you also might not make much of a difference. I mean, it's 12 inches, but
Yeah. Again, terrain as well. Yeah, it just depends.
Yeah. This one is you must include strategic locations 4, which is the one where you do have the 2 in, you are fighting over your own objectives in your own deployment zone, but you have the 2 out there in no man's land on either side. So I didn't draw it on this one, but it's a star, if you know what I mean, or a cross.
Yeah.
And then may include baggage train as well and special features. So again, you're basically saying, throw in the kitchen sink. Just trying once one is chosen. Once the battlefield, there's no chooses deployment zone A or B. There's not really any other rule in this, I don't think.
No.
Right? Yeah, okay, there's not. Yeah. Okay. No special rules. It's just slightly different deployment zone. So I mean, overall, I like that they've mixed up the deployments. I think the deployments were getting a little bit, because I felt like Old World had almost the same as 8th there, didn't it? Like there wasn't really.
Yeah, I think the Big Blue book sort of was a bit of a miss with quite a few of those scenarios they had. So I much prefer these. And then obviously with the secondaries, it's just so much more flavor, just giving you more options.
Yeah, and I like they didn't overdo the whole. As much like I like special strategic locations, I don't think they've overcooked it. Like it'd be annoying if everyone was a 40k mission where you just randomly stand on this thing and get points. Like I think that's a bit bullshit sometimes. But I don't, because at the end of the day, armies are there to kill each other. Like that's the whole.
Yeah,
they're not. It's not. This isn't subterfuge or like at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a war game. I do like the idea that there's some of them mixed in where you can. Yeah, you do need to sort of hold an objective. So what does that mean though, man? Like, I guess with all this, just sort of as we get close to the end of this thing, the game's changed. It's not 1.0 anymore, and it's in some sense a fundamentally different game. Even though they
definitely,
I wrote some notes here, but did you want to like run through your thoughts there and maybe use them as prompts?
Yeah, well, we can hit one for one. So yeah, definitely, like Gomo said, it's you feel it and you see it when you play now. It's definitely not like it hasn't completely changed, but there's definitely change there. And one big thing that you have seen, which has to do with point 2, is the old minimum of combat res 7, which a lot of people are trying to go for to defend against the dragons, the dreaded dragon mount. That's sort of gone now. You've been given additional tools
Yeah,
help you
now
out.
you don't even now you can, like, blow through combat
Yeah,
res. Like, yeah, you can get a
yeah, yeah,
it's, combat res 7 is probably not the right word, but, you know, what's it called? Like, static combat res.
yeah. The static combat
Some
res.
of
Yeah,
these
yeah,
guys have way more of that static combat res. That's like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
But at the same time, you don't also need to just think about hitting that. Like, you could have just a bunch of units that have a fair bit of static combat res, but because you got lots of them,
Yeah,
you know, and you're not facing that dragon, you're not worried
mm,
about, you know, having to have that. So yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, flowing on from that is just the whole hero hammer. Like, I mean, well, geez, I'm going to a 40-player tournament on the weekend. Um, what did I say? There's one list with 2 Chaos Dragons in it. Um, I'm trying to think. Did the Dark Elf list have a dragon? I think one, but a
Yeah,
lot of them
Dark
have
Elf.
like sorcerers and wizards on them now too. So like,
Yeah,
although you know, I don't want to like discount a wizard on a dragon. I think it's really cool, but it's not the beat stick one that you're worried about. You know what I
Jaeger
mean?
Blade with the 5 up,
Yeah,
5 up,
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
2
yeah.
up, yeah,
So
whatever.
it's that hero hammer that's sort of gone away, which it
Mm,
really, yeah, it's good. But at the same time, you go to a tournament. I think that's a really good breakdown where you have 40 players and there's still 1 or 2 lists that are rocking Chaos Dragons with Chaos Lords on them.
yeah,
Like that's sort of that's what you want to
you
see,
still wanna
you know?
see him. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, definitely level 4s are not an auto include, as much as they used to be. You still definitely see them.
Mhm.
But yeah, you know, it's you see level 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, like almost you do tend to see, you know, most armies do sort of have a 3 or a 4, but there's still plenty of armies you see getting around rocking, you know, only, you know, 1 1 or 2 2s or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's good mixed bag.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's given that little bit flexibility. And on top of that, I put the Armies of Infamy here, and what I mean by that, 2 things. One of them is, you know, the game's out, and all the Armies of Infamies are out. We're actually even getting new ones that we didn't know existed. Um, so that's changed huge. And on top of that, some of the ones we just threw in the bin initially because they didn't have a level 4 or didn't have access to a level 3, 4 are now totally viable still
Mm,
and interesting, and you can use them. I'm not saying I the ones I'm thinking of are things like even, you know, the Minotaur herd or well, Nuln's probably the big one where it's like
mm,
initially people were like, oh fuck, no level 2. Sorry, no level 4, that's shit. And cannons are
yeah,
shit. Like that's what people were thinking, you know, 18
yeah,
12 months ago. City State of Nuln is probably one of the highest performing win. It's just probably a shit to play against, but it's like one of the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's actually quite high performing Empire army. So you can go back
It's
and look at
definitely
those, you know, armies
yeah,
of infamy where were written off that just had a level 2, and I think they've got some legs still now. They can be competitive, and you only want to be competitive. You don't need to be like you don't want armies that just dominate. You just want
yeah.
them to be competitive, so you can play with them and model them and play with them and stuff. So that's where it's changed. I like it.
Mm,
Cool. So what does that mean for list building when we start getting into faction focuses in the other videos that are coming in this playlist? I guess what does it
yeah.
mean, man?
So for definitely when you're building your lists, um, with the scenarios now being worth so many points and so prevalent, you definitely need to start taking these into account when you are putting your list together. So definitely, you know, high unit strengths in core, which something you never really used to see.
Mm.
But yeah, if you want to be going and be, you know, decently competitive, not that you have to be super competitive, but definitely going into a tournament, you do want to think about these things and make sure that you got the right tools to be able to take on these scenarios.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too, because I'm seeing this with Old World more so than maybe Eighth, is there's a lot more 1-day 3-game tournaments than GT. Like it's probably always the case, but
Yeah,
it feels like there's the same number of GT, at least in Australia, there's the same number of GTs and I hate saying GTs because I know they're not technically grand tournaments. There's only like
Yeah,
40 people sometimes doing, but yeah, you get my point. There's probably
Yep.
still the same number of weekend tournaments that there was in eighth now. Like it'll settle down to be about the same. Every state has their big one, and there's a couple. But there's a lot more one dayers out there. And the cool thing about that is there's only 3 games, but yet, as you just saw, there's 6 different scenarios. I mean, look, and there's, TOs do their own as well, but you can't fit all that stuff into just 3 games. So therefore, then you can look at what the player packs are and go, okay, I can't just take the best killing things. I need to start thinking, well, which ones are they using? They bring in baggage train, are they bringing this? And then, adjust my list accordingly. Because sometimes there might be ones where there's no secondaries that you have to worry about particularly, and so you can skew it a certain way. Whereas before 1.5, it was still more about how do I combat a dragon? How do I shoot off a dragon? How do I? That's sort of what it was. Whereas now it's at least a bit more creative. You actually have to read the pack a bit more.
Cool. Definitely.
I mean, I know you sort of covered it there, and this was supposed to be mine and all that, but that the fact that we do see infantry, I think it's either you have to bring infantry with some unit strength capable, and probably has to be core, like bunch of it. Otherwise, some of these things you can't score, or you need to be able to wipe that off in a turn or two with a massive hammer unit. Like you need to do something that neutralizes that.
From your opponent.
Otherwise, you're probably going to go, oh shit, I didn't realize there's a bunch of 20 humans with a griffin standing can hang around that long. Fuck, what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? Or what did you charge? You charged your dragon? You charged it to like 15 peasant archers and they bounced? Or what was that? I don't know.
Oh, chariot. Yeah.
Chariot. Sorry.
Yeah. But it happened numerous times. I didn't learn my lesson clearly. I just kept sending them in to peasant bowmen, and they just didn't go very well.
So I mean, and that's the cool thing. Like they just weren't there prior to this, and now people are like, "Cool, I can dust this back off." Unfortunately, it means you do a lot more painting, but I mean that's part of the hobby. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But definitely now seeing as well going into the magic domain is that magic defense versus offense, and which way you're going to go. Are you going to balance good defense or offense, or you do see quite a few lists where they just go, a little bit offensive but quite defensive with lodestones, using obviously magic resistance, because obviously it's so hard to cast now. It can be quite a good counter if you don't want to overload too many points in a huge magic offense. Is just to go, all right, well, I'll just put a bit of points into defense, especially onto my core units, my really important units, and it can be quite a cheap way of being able to still be quite, not get overwhelmed by your opponent's magic.
No, I think it's huge, and again, it brings down some of the stuff that you just didn't see. Like even I think we talked about this the other day, is the Empire War Wagon, stuff like that. That just you're just seeing so much more magic res out there, which means unless you're one of the armies that can skew into really high casting stuff, you just can't. You'll still bring magic. It's cool. It's useful, but it's almost like you pack a few power scrolls for the 1 or 2 things you need to get done that game, and the rest of it, if you get it off, that's good. Otherwise, I'm not relying on it, which is a shame. And I think that's the problem with 1.5, but that's the meta you're in at the moment. Be conscious of it. And you just make that decision. Need for speed too. I think this is still this was the whole idea of where's Cav sit on it. We've talked about infantry. We've talked about nullifying dragons. Prior to this thing, everything was dragons and swift stride, and Cav are huge because they can just get across the board. They can smash stuff. There's no infantry to hold them up. They're the interesting play here, because I feel like them and chariots. Obviously, chariots definitely have a place now because of first charge and all that stuff. But Cavs still are there somehow, because I feel like they're sometimes big enough and there's some core options where you can use them to still claim these objectives, but they got still swift stride and they're fast. So I don't think they haven't been nerfed as such, but they've got a slightly different play. They're sort of where they should be, which is more unless you've really skewed into it, they're your auxiliary. They're using them as your sort of, your fancy tools around the corner to do
Yeah,
some of the
yeah,
work, supporting work. Is that sort of how you see them now?
definitely. Yeah, yeah. You don't see too many all cav. Well, you do, but not as much as what you were, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Whereas before you could see cavern monsters, that could make up your army quite easily. Whereas now, like you said, with the list building, it makes it a little bit hard to score these secondary objectives.
Well, it
If you
makes it
do,
hard to hold on to them, I mean, you can grab
yeah,
the
yeah,
nominations, you can grab the baggage trains
mm,
at the end. So it's almost like you have to you got to decide in your head, am I going to, because they're definitely worthwhile having. They're like, yeah, this
yeah,
is good, but then you have to, for 4 or 5 turns, you got to use them effectively, otherwise they might get magic missile down and suddenly they can't score the thing or whatever. So it's like,
mm,
yeah, and cab's not cheap generally,
no,
you know, compared to infantry. So no, but I still think it's there. I still think speed's
mm,
important. That's magic as well. If you can get off your magic movements, stuff like that. I think it's pretty interesting. So
yeah.
yeah,
Speed definitely, like things like domination, flight table quarters. Something that can like zip up and just get a table quarter. It's towards the end of the game. It's always going to be
what were you using with the vamps? Those are crypt ghoul dudes or whatever. They're movement 5 or 6 dudes that you use or whatever.
yeah with
Although they
reserve
don't
move.
march, do they? Or no, they do
Oh,
reserve
they,
move.
they had reserve move. Yeah,
Yeah,
they got
yeah,
right.
yeah. And we've got a hot take. So just as we close this out, I think this is our last slide here.
Mm,
Where do we think it's going to go? Where do we see it? Have we seen it?
mm.
Which one do you want to take?
Yeah, well, I'll start with probably some of my favorite being undead would be mass cheap infantry. Obviously the infantry boons that they got from the 1.5 FAC and Rada just made cheap infantry so much better. Whereas before people were using it, as a little bit of a tar pit here and there. I know I was using mine as chaff. But now, you can get 20 cheap, infantry of whatever sort holding objectives, and they're actually not too shabby in combat. If you're going to take on 20 infantry, you need the tools. Like a big dragon might take on 20, but if you're going to send 5 knights or a chariot in, it doesn't always move these things. They can sit back and slowly, take you out in a sense.
Yeah. And you're seeing I mean, the classic one that you're seeing right now, this time of recording, is ogres with their 3 point or 2 or whatever they are, bloody cheap. Is it
The
40
Noblars.
points for 20 whatever it is? Yeah, and
Yeah,
so you can
yeah.
have
It's like the
160
hobgoblins.
points in
Yeah,
4 units. Yeah, of the Chaos Dwarf
yeah,
ones as well.
yeah,
I mean, you put 4 of them down. No one's going to shoot them for the first X number of turns anyway because they're just hanging around, but they're going to sit there
yeah,
and score objectives. And
yeah,
to get through that is still 20 wounds you need to do, toughness 3, whatever they are. That's 40. Yeah. So when you start adding it up, that's a lot of hits you need to generate
yeah,
just to eat through them.
yeah,
So I think that's pretty cool. I mean, again, it makes the game look cool with mass infantry. Hopefully it doesn't turn if you are a newbie player and you're like, what? Now I have to paint whatever. I know that's part of the game, unfortunately, but yeah, it's just, that's what we want.
yeah.
This is why we play Warhammer. So
You don't, yeah.
yeah,
It's one of these. Like, you don't have to, but I mean, it's more viable too. Like Ross before,
yeah.
nobody used to take him for that. Like it's just, it's it
Well,
lets
even
you
the
bring.
common goblin, man. You can get
Mm,
4-up saves now on goblins,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so there's all these units where he just originally just went, nah, I'm not
No.
bringing that. If it doesn't have fanatics in it, I'm not looking at it. But now you're like,
Yeah,
well, hang on, maybe I will.
yeah. That's it.
So,
Yeah,
this is one of my hot takes, and we haven't really talked too much about it because again, it's so early here. I don't know if it is making any change, but the building rules that came out in the first Arcane Journal with the set, like the first Arcane Journal, that's not a normal journal, you know, the Shadow,
Yeah.
whatever it's called, Storm Dragon one or whatever, where I had the building rules, because that's down to just number of models that can go in it, um, under a certain unit strength. I felt like um, monstrous infantry actually get a bit of a boost there because it's like they're, you know, like when you can attack, only 5 models can attack, but I can put
Yeah.
5 monstrous infantry in there because they're only 15 unit strength. Um, and they're doing way more damage, and especially if there's something like trolls or whatever that have fucking got regen or re-rollable regen. If we
Yeah.
start seeing buildings around, and not even that, sometimes monstrous infantry, depending on the cost, you know, can still hold some of these objectives as well. I still think they're unfortunately nowhere as good as normal infantry, but I want them to be good. So I'm gonna take that of like, hopefully we do start seeing at least
I reckon we
trolls or
will.
something
Yeah.
pop back. And I'm starting to see it in some of the meta where you are seeing some troll
Mm.
lists do okay. So I don't think they're not A tier by any means, but I'm hoping they're not
Mm.
down in that D and C tier, and that they're, you know, depending
Yeah.
on if people start using the building rules, I think you might start seeing these a little bit more, which is good because we want them. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. And then yeah, so next point, so like off meta lists, it's fantastic to see there's quite a variety of lists now coming out, and it's funny how things that you'd consider very mundane, and I wouldn't use the word not competitive, but previous in the previous edition, compared to what you see now, that you know it's a lot more viable. You can have an actual, as we like to call it, a Warhammer looking army. It's not just,
yeah,
you know, it's not Hero Hammer where you've got, you know, few, you know, few monsters running around. They're doing all the hard work. It's like now you actually got blocks of infantry, you know, the odd monster here and there. You've got cannons here and there. You've got shooting. Like it, we can bring Warhammer armies that actually look like
yeah,
Warhammer.
yeah, and use more of the list, and then really, yeah,
Yeah.
push the what do they call it, the the internal balance, you know,
Mm.
like get that pushed a bit more, you know, because before it was some of them a bit skewed because there wasn't as much internal balance because of the way the meta was. Like the external meta pushed
Yeah.
some lists into some factions to be not very balanced
Yeah.
internally, whereas now, like Bretonian's a bit like that, where it was like, okay, well, you barely even saw horses. It was like, we just need peg knights and heroes. And
Yeah. Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you're like, okay, now you can't start using some of your foot troops and
Yeah. That's it.
yeah, so you know, hopefully that just helps with that, which is cool. And then with all that, because you got more figures on the board, templates are back, baby. Templates are back.
Yes.
War machines, and I'll even say breath weapons. Let's bring the old breath weapon back. I
Yeah.
know it only, you know, has a risk of being hit, but um, you know, I think templates are worth revisiting. And I think
Mm.
people are anyway with war machines and stuff, but I think
Yeah.
even have a skim through, look at your template, your magic. I mean, I did look at this, and there's not that still many good ones, but you know, any templates that are
Yeah.
magic ones, maybe they're worth looking at as well, because the more big units are there, if you're good at rolling 4 ups, probably can do some damage. You know, so I think it's
Yeah.
worth.
You get that 5 inch
Um,
pipe plate out, it's going to be doing some damage.
Yeah. And some
Yeah.
of these, you know, there's a couple of the magic assailment spells which are breath weapon ones as well. And like, you know, that's a pretty big, you know, if you're in a big against a big unit, like that's a
Yeah.
pretty big template that you can sort of direct, you know, where you need to try and get the max amount of foreplay. Because am I right in the breath weapon? You can position that. Hey, like if you're in combat, you can still move it to make sure you're getting the most max number of damage. It's not like a normal template that's got to go right on top.
Yeah. No, my understanding is, yeah, it's just got to be in the on the forward area of
Yeah,
your
in
base.
your yeah,
Yeah.
okay. You probably can
So
some.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Cool. Anyway, that's our video. I think originally Andrew and I were talking about doing a 30-minute video. As usual, it's now 60 or close to it. But yeah, I think that was the first big one for
Couple
the
of minutes.
1.5 for
That's all
us.
right. Yeah.
Expect it. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this, if you're watching it after you know a week or so after we put this out, there'll be some other videos in this playlist to do with our
Mm.
factions, and we'll be looking at them under the lens of 1.5 and some of the topics we brought up in this video. So all I can say is the only way to know is get the dice out and play some games, roll some dice, and see how it affects it.
Roll them dice. Yep.
Log your results. Tell us how you went. Leave some comments on here. Get on our chat on Monday nights Australian time on the Old World Fanatics live stream. That we're there every Monday, unless it's a Tuesday or a Sunday. Generally a Monday. And then really like to have you. Like to have you as a subscriber and a commenter. Please do that. And if you are wanting to join our Patreon and jump on, send us questions and join all our cool stuff and chat with all our other awesome 60 plus Patreons.
They are legends.
Paid patrons. I think we have 200 normal patrons. Jump over to patreon.com/oldworldfanatics. We'd love to have you over there, and really appreciate all the support. And just love this game, love this community. So,
definitely.
Thanks for spending an hour with me, Andrew. And I guess I'll chat to everyone on the next.
It's only half an hour, mate.
Yeah, only half an hour. Half an hour, Old World Fanatic style.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Bye.
Old World Rankings. Ranking players worldwide. Find upcoming tournaments. View latest results. Search thousands of army lists. Global faction statistics. Old World Rankings. Free to join today.